I'm Sam Thompson, Senior Managing Director of Progress Partners. We're a boutique investment bank and M&A advisor, corporate advisor in and around the digital media world. A lot of work in retail myself. Also a board member with the Ad Club, so great to be here. Really happy to be running the panel and have some great people to bring up on stage. So we have Haley Nadas. Nadas, that's fine. Thank you. Sorry, I did exactly what I didn't want to do. James Connell and Allison Khurana.
Oh, that was well pronounced.
Thank you. Okay. We just met over the last couple of days, so never good at names. But why don't you guys come on up? We got a panel on customer experience across retail, and kick it off. Thank you. So, three amazing brands, retailers that we have on the stage here. New Balance, Roots, Wayfair, all coming from three very unique angles. We've got exclusively online. We've got a dyed-in-the-wool, Canadian brand that's now branching out into the United States, and probably one of the most iconic running brands in North America, if not globally. So, customer experience clearly has been a big part of what you guys have built on. We want to dig in a little bit about the roles that technology plays, how we can think about leveraging technology, but is that really where it starts? None of these brands, I correct that. We have one brand that has started as a technology company, coming in from a different angle than the other two. Perhaps you could speak a little bit to where customer experience drove a technology company to think about how you guys form the experience online and what it means when your touch points really are exclusively online.
Mm-hmm. Hi everyone. Ooh, loud. Thanks for listening to us today. I am happy to kick off the panel to talk about tech and how it relates to the customer experience. And our core, Wayfair, is a technology company. I'm not sure everyone always recognizes that about us. We were founded by two engineers. We have 1,900 data scientists and engineers globally. And so the activity around, in the building, we're headquartered over in Copley, is really buzzing and humming with tech. And we listen to our customer. One of the conversations that we had with Sam earlier this week was how do you walk in your customer's shoes? Well, we watch and learn. And so we spend a lot of time observing how our customer interacts with our website. We have that as an advantage of being an e-commerce platform. And so we have a lot of data. We arm most employees with full access to that data. And so people are making decisions every day to benefit the customer. And we think very customer first. What did the customer respond to this activity? I think my favorite, I just moved, and moving is a big catalyst for furniture purchases in one's life. And so I'm now a Power Wayfair customer, and my favorite innovation of late is the search within visual search feature. I don't know if any of you have explored our app. Did this just go off? But we built this functionality after realizing how frequently our customers are using search, and they typically have something in mind that they want, and it's often hard to describe that in words. And so we built this feature that enables you to take a picture of what you want and find it on our site, because if you've shopped our site, many of you might know that we have 10 million items, and it can be very overwhelming to search that. And so visual search is one that we're really excited about, helping the customer continue to get what she wants.
Just to continue on that thread for a little bit and going a little bit into your position. So you run brand effectively.
Yes.
For Wayfair. How does that experience build on the brand, or whether it's in the shopping experience through the mobile application or what someone comes to on the website? Where is your role coming in to improve on that experience, or even convey to a new customer what they're going to get when they get into Wayfair?
Yeah, so as a brand, we're all about the experience. We're really excited to make the shopping experience for your home more fun and less painful. Our customers love to shop. Many of you might resonate with that. No matter the category that you're shopping, you might really enjoy shopping, and that is not always easy. So how do we reduce friction in the experience? How do we make it truly fun for her? that's really what we're focused on as a brand. And so my role is basically mobilizing people internally across a very wide network of teams to deliver a message, a consistent message. What do we stand for? What do we offer? For example, search, visual search isn't something that a lot of customers might even know about. Not as many customers have our app as are searching just on our phone. And so how do you promote that internally? And one function, one pillar on my team is consumer insights. And so they do a lot of, we have behavioral data that everybody in the company is observing from their own point of view. We also talk to our customer in more traditional formats, focus groups and calls. We just had a series of calls this afternoon or earlier this morning that I was listening in on. And so we basically bring that knowledge base out to the rest of the company.
Jumping over, James, on the idea of a new customer, you guys have just launched a store in Boston, first pop-up in the United States, I believe. Is that correct?
In the last 20 years.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, this is a brand new experience for a lot of consumers. Kind of following on the same theme, what role, in a way, does technology play to that pop-up experience and introducing a brand to the to the Boston market? And how are you capturing that experience, and how does it inform what you guys are doing next?
Sure. Actually, I think I have something to show that can. So that's actually a picture of our store on Newbury Street. And really what it is it's only dedicated to be 20% traditional retail and 80% experiential. So as you go into the store space, we're encouraging people to take pictures of themselves in these different vignettes and learn a bit about the brand instead of traditionally going and talking to a sales associate and sort of having a traditional retail experience. So hopefully as you traverse through all these different little areas of the store, you'll start to learn a bit about the company, be entertained, and really we're actually finding the dwell time in this space to be 3 to 4 times longer than our traditional store. And you actually sort of have to, when you get to the back, we'll call it a gift shop, where you can buy the best product that's available from our collection that month. So we could have gone into this market with a very traditional approach and sort of had the experience be very similar to any of our other stores, but we felt like going in and doing something different for a pop-up for us. We're more than a product company, we're a culture company. And if you don't learn about the culture of Roots and everything we stand for, you probably don't really understand a lot of the aspects of our product. Like, for example, my jacket is actually manufactured in Toronto at a factory that's actually at the start or the heart of the company. And the people that work there have been working there for over 40 years. Many of them. So I think when you start to learn things like that, or the fact that our leather bag is touched by 45 hands by people from leather from Toronto that's been hand finished, it's very hard to actually educate someone about that in a traditional environment where this environment allows us to do that.
Amazing.
So just we actually have this other video that. This actually was really the basis on where the company built that experience. So instead of printing a traditional gift guide, what we did is we had an experience at a hotel in downtown Toronto. And we invited about 800 people to a live and virtual fashion show. The virtual part initially primarily because we couldn't afford all the models and the product in order to put it on stage. And so what it came down to it is we really wanted to figure out a way to actually start to garner customer information, both from the people in the space as well as live stream it worldwide. My CEO gave me the budget of equivalent of printing 100 gift guides, 500,000 gift guides. That would be a very small party if I had to do that. So really what it came down to is the fact that we actually had to reach 500,000 people by this event. We actually reached over 10 million people in 10 countries. And we started to use that data, this was just before Black Friday, to start to retarget all the different aspects of this video that we live streamed and then created into capsule videos that was actually the heartbeat of our holiday purchase pattern. The other thing we did is we developed an app that people within the audience actually could scan the stage, and it would bring up product that they could check out with on their mobile device online with one click using a MasterPass. And so that allowed us to actually start to retarget and figure out which content was going to be the most successful over the holiday season or over the Black Friday period, almost real time. And then we actually started to use that data from both the app as well as the live stream data to retarget consumers while the live stream was going on to actually attract more people to the live stream.
Do you expect, excuse me, do you expect the data from the store in Boston to inform marketing in the U.S.?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Actually, so the part of the reason why we did this app was the fact that, and the experience, frankly, is we used all of that information to figure out that Boston actually we felt was the best first market to go into for this concept, and then past that, trying to figure out okay. When we start to use the data of all the social media it's generated, as well as the social gathering, as well as the in-store or e-commerce transactions that happen after the fact, that's going to dictate where we go next with this concept. And also which parts of the concept we're going to take into our physical stores in Taiwan as well as in other parts of Canada.
So, moving on, Allison, quick question for you. I mean, getting on the theme of new customers, we spoke a little bit about it and how you realize that some of your new customers are not the same as your most loyal customers, and that's a balance you guys always have to play. How are you even discovering the differences? Where did that play on the data side, and then how has that been influencing your marketing campaigns, your in-store experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who know the brand, I think, speaking to a couple folks before, where we started as a brand is really different from where we are now. We started as a really loyalist, traditional, evolved into running, and now we're really in the lifestyle space, as well as the training, sort of metropolitan athlete space. And so for us, our new consumers are naturally going to be so different from our existing consumers, but the way that we've really pinpointed and zeroed in on that is through our loyalty program. So we have a loyalty program, MyMB Rewards. I think an interesting thing about loyalty is, in my opinion, the likelihood a retailer has a loyalty program is kind of directly correlated with how many physical stores they have, because that's why you need a loyalty program. If you're all e-com, you know what your consumers are doing because you can see them in the e-commerce space. Retail, for those of you who work with brands who have retail stores, all you see is transactions. All you know is transaction amount products. You don't know if those were 5 different consumers, if that was one consumer making 5 transactions. Very, very hard to run a consumer-centric business that way. And so for us, a big area that we've looked at through loyalty is to say, how do our loyalty consumers act differently from our existing consumers, informing both e-com as well as retail? And one of our big insights, some of the folks on my retail marketing team are in the back. I can't see them right now, but a big initiative that we're doing in response to this is re-merchandising our San Francisco store. So we have a San Francisco flagship store, 3 stories tall, large store, re-merchandising next month, top to bottom, based on our learning that our existing consumers are performance, our new consumers are lifestyle. We formerly had lifestyle at the top of the store, and not easy to get to, not accessible for new consumers. We're in the middle right now of a lifestyle marketing campaign, really upper funnel media activations out of home in San Francisco, and to align with that, we want to make sure that new consumers, are experiencing lifestyle the second they're walking into the store. So we're re-merchandising the entire store. I shouldn't say we are, my team is not. Visual merchandising is with my team's support. But to really test, and it's going to be a big test and a big experiment that'll work or it won't, but it's to say, can we draw more new lifestyle consumers in by putting lifestyle on the ground floor and performance higher up? Really different from what we've done in the past as a brand, but the loyalty data is what's given us the confidence to do that, and the confidence to feel like it's a thoughtful risk rather than just a crazy risk.
So, playing another game of sort of which one is not like the other. 2 very controlled environments in which a brand operates and reaches their audience here. You have you are wholesaling,
Yeah.
you're direct, you've got all sorts of channels you guys use. How do you maintain a consistent brand across those and an experience for the shoppers that are coming through, whether they're new or loyal?
And that's an enormous focus for us in looking not just at, my team is D2C, so e-commerce as well as retail, which for us is incredibly helpful to be able to have so easily now a holistic experience across all of our owned touch points. But I was telling Sam, what we've discovered is while we love to think our consumer lives within our New Balance owned world, when they're in our physical store, as an example, they're on their phones. But they're not on the New Balance website. Although we'd love to think they are, they're not. What we've learned through our consumer research is they're really often on Amazon, they're really often searching on Google, they're really often looking at sites like Running Warehouse, looking at product reviews. And so something that we've in the last 12 to 18 months made an incredible focus around is, God bless you, is really architecting that entire experience to not just be consistent, but to be thoughtful and responsive to what the consumer is looking for. So yeah, there's consistency. There's, many of you have seen our current Comfort Sport Style marketing campaign. Everywhere you see New Balance right now, it's gonna say Comfort Sport Style, with the exception of X90, which started a few days ago. But that's our message. What we're really focusing on increasingly is how's the consumer interpreting that message, and what are they going to be doing in response to that? So we think they're going to search Comfort Sports Style. Guess what? They're not. We think they're going to search, Fresh Foam Cruise. They're not. They're searching Cruise and they're misspelling it. So it's for us to understand what's the consumer behavior looking at Amazon, Google, even social listening. What are consumers typing in? What are they writing about us? And then how do we adjust our marketing, particularly around copy, upper all the way down to low funnel, to respond to that and to meet the consumer where they are, the way that they're searching, not just the way that we're sort of hoping they will.
An interesting one to really understand. Yeah, you may have ideas of what your customers think, or the way that they think, but then you actually have to listen to them to understand that. Using that as a kickoff point to jump back, Haley, you mentioned earlier that well, you have a bunch of independent brands. It's not just Wayfair anymore, right? And where did those come from? How are you discovering that? Presumably that's data. And ultimately, what kicks off a pretty major launch? I mean, a significant brand launch within Wayfair even is a lot of work. And where do you guys start to see the message in the tea leaves that it's time to go do that? And how does that come about?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know the full suite of Wayfair brands, we have lifestyle brands, which have dedicated websites, All Modern, Joss & Main, Paragold, and Birch Lane. And those all reach a very curated assortment around a style, mostly. We also have a very large and growing portfolio of house brands within the Wayfair site. And so I mentioned earlier we have 10 million items. It can be hard for consumers to find what they're looking for. And so the house brands are a way to help her navigate our assortment for the customer that is shopping that way. Not all customers are shopping that way, but we are finding that a curated assortment around a style and a price point does help her navigate what can be an overwhelming experience. The lifestyle brands similarly appeal to different flavors of the home shopper, and so we find those to be reach a distinct customer segment. And the most recent brand launch was Paragold, which is the top end of the market, and so that reaches a much different consumer than Wayfair, which is more of a mass brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess a quick poll amongst the three of you. How do customer reviews play into, especially for you, but I think for each of you as well, play into the delivering an experience to a customer, especially with Wayfair in particular? Mm-hmm. There's no stores. Mm-hmm. You've got to trust in what you see. You can do the visual search and get something close to what you see in real life. What role does that customer review play?
Reviews are incredibly important for us.
Yeah.
They are a signal for quality, and our customer really cares about quality. That's not to mean a very high-end piece, but quality for her budget. And so without reviews, it's very hard to trust that the quality is there. And reviews are incredibly important in helping give her confidence in making a decision. Our customer does a ton of research. Because we are an online player, you can easily try to shop around, do your homework, and so we find that reviews can be a major tipping point for getting her comfortable making that purchase.
James, you?
No problem. So for us, we actually use reviews almost constantly. Because we're vertically integrated, we have some of our manufacturing close by. We can be in a situation where we get a bad review and we can have an improved product on the shelf in the same city within the same day. So it's a situation where, that's obviously an extreme situation, but it's something that we do and we pride ourselves on. Aside from that, though, I think what we find is even more important than reviews right now is really just mining data that comes into our call center as well as through our email. Because a lot of times consumers just don't want to tell you that there's a problem. They'll just return it or they'll just give it away or do whatever they want to do with it. And so if they're not clicking on the item, if they're returning it, or if they're talking to our sales associates, that's data that is really valuable that a lot of consumers or a lot of companies don't actually really mine as well as they possibly could. And so there's really a lot of capabilities with AI now to define those patterns and actually really help you improve both your experience in your store or across your customer journey as well as your products.
I think reviews are sort of my a favorite topic of late, because I think as marketers we think about paid media, maybe paid owned earned, but reviews are so increasingly becoming something that we as marketers should be thinking about as a part of the paid owned earned mix. And for us, something that we look at for our consumers is certain consumers review. Every consumer is influenced by something different. We have young urban consumers who are Foot Locker consumers. 16-year-old kid is going to go to a Foot Locker store, and whatever other kids in that store are wearing, they're going to buy. Like, Foot Locker is media for that consumer. Reviews for our running consumer are enormous. Reviews are also big for us in apparel. So apparel is a new category for us, or a new set of categories, and our price points are not low. And so something that we're really focused on is driving reviews in that area so consumers know, to Haley's point, this is a high quality product. I can expect the same level of craftsmanship. If they can't go into a store and they search online, they know that whether they're searching on New Balance or whether they're searching on Amazon or any wholesale partner, they're going to see those same high reviews for kind of quality, craftsmanship, durability. And so we really look at reviews as a consumer segment focused marketing vehicle, depending on who the segment is and what they need to get out of that.
You mentioned something earlier, maybe while you have the mic you can answer this as well, but how quickly is that feeding back in to the stores, even into either a partner, one of your sales channels, what you guys put on the website? How quickly are you gathering this data, and is it the next day? Is it later that day? How are you guys reacting, and how important is that actually? Is that placed as a priority?
Yeah, and it is, and the speed with which we react is really channel dependent. And so on our site, as Haley had said earlier, we're changing in the day, in the hour, oftentimes based on what we're learning from consumers. What they're clicking on, what they're posting, where we're in stock, where we're out of stock, what marketing's working well. Obviously in low funnel performance media, it's similar. As we look more at product and upper funnel marketing, we're looking at the consumer level data on, I'd say, weekly, monthly, particularly quarterly basis. Something we're really focused on is saying, across a big chunk of time, what are we seeing and hearing from consumers, and how do we incorporate that not just into sort of micro tests or micro risks, little tweaks on the site, but how do we have that influence big picture strategies for our focus for the quarter or our focus for the year? Apparel is one of those where we've said we're making a big bet in outerwear, and all of you who shop New Balance, you'll see this holiday season, you'll be seeing a lot of outerwear from us, and that's a big new category big new growth area for us. We're so excited about the quality and the craftsmanship of the product, but that's a place where we've been looking really thoughtfully for the last more than a year at what's our consumer telling us about the tiny steps we've taken in that direction, both in our retail stores. What are they responding to? What are they buying? Where is it merchandised? What's the feedback we're getting? Online reviews to say, how do we curate the set of products, and then how do we launch that into the marketplace in a way that we're feeling really good about its potential for success.
Anything else you want to, I know you spoke a little bit about how you relaunch with some of the products in a given market, but I mean, even just the store in Boston, you just refreshed it now, well, it's in the middle of refresh.
Yeah, in the middle of refresh. So the idea, I mean, really for us is there's always going to be an evolution. Consumers are going to want something new and different anyway. So why not we use the information that we have and deliver what they're looking for? And so if we're seeing, you know, a certain sweatshirt being the #1 post on Instagram, why not order more of that sweatshirt or evolve that design so it's something that's new and fresh and ready for the next quarter? So I think the ability to what you were saying about different areas of your business and how you can respond. I mean, Black Friday, we're responding within 10 minutes online, whereas the store on Newbury Street, we're responding in 8 weeks. Other stores, it's going to be within 6 months. So it really, the aspect of ROI to actually be able to respond immediately is different depending on the item. But I would say that we really sort of pride ourselves in the ability to be really agile and do as much as we can with the data, because ultimately that's going to be a key to our success, especially in this market.
I would just add, we have different business models, so we have different constraints. We aren't buying merchandise, we aren't making a bet on the actual products that consumers are buying, because we have a dropship model, so we can sell as many things as we would like. However, that doesn't mean we aren't constrained by shelf space, and so the items that appear on page 1 versus page 30 are a lot more important. And so we've used information like reviews to power the algorithms behind a lot of those touch points. And so our pages may move around on you depending on the new information that becomes available, whether it's your own information, so we just know that you browsed X, Y, and Z, and so now we think these products are relevant, or a product just accelerated in popularity and the number of good quality reviews. And so we use that information to merchandise our site in similar ways, but we still have different business models, so it's interesting.
I think it came from you a moment ago, but maybe each of you, because you've done some, well, talk a little bit about risk, right? So we talked about quick changes, but you've talked about the data you guys used to launch in Boston. It still comes with its sort of host of risk. How are you positioned? A lot of retailers in maybe the room would see this too. It seems traditional retail has been very risk averse. Now that time's gone, right? Like, and you are not a traditional retailer. How do you view risk? What role does it play in the business you run?
A big role. We try to pride ourselves on being a smart risk taker. Risk is a big part of our core philosophy. We have a large appetite for risk. We're constantly testing. I would say at any given moment, we've got A/B tests running on multiple parts of our website, because that hedges against the risk of putting up a message that doesn't resonate with the customer. And so we've made big advances there in the past year and a half, which is exciting because we, can sort of hedge some risk in some places and take bigger risks in others. I would say Way Day, which some of you may have witnessed over the April month, was a risk for us, but an exciting opportunity. It wasn't rooted in no data. I mean, we had a lot of information to tell us that the customers had an appetite for a big retail holiday, our own very first home shopping holiday. Traditionally, the promotional calendar has been very wedded to when someone could take a day off and go to a brick and mortar store. And so what was really exciting is we could create this holiday to drive value, really unlock a lot of value for our customers. But that didn't come without risk. We had to build a lot of technical innovations. We had to advocate for engineering resources to do things that we had never done. And so that was nerve-wracking. That initiative fell on my shoulders, and so I had to fight for engineers, and engineers are a scarcity within the walls of Wayfair. And so you attach your name to a certain number of engineering hours, and you've all of a sudden got like a pretty big price tag on your hands. But we went into it in a pretty smart way. We made changes along the way based on resourcing and capacity, and really the way that I thought about it was a dry run for holiday, dry run for Black Friday. We all in this room are entering our biggest time of the year, and so how do you, and usually around that time we're a very risk tolerant company, but around that time of year we sort of like to make sure that we have our plan pretty on track. Yeah, so Wade, it was really a nice opportunity to test a lot of ideas for Black Friday.
We're really down to the end of the time here. Can we just run down the end of the list here? Okay, so great. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about risk here.
Sure, I'll be quick then. Really for us, I mean, historically Roots has actually been very risk adverse, but I would say that now we have so much access to data, we're actually able to mitigate a lot of the risk that we couldn't prior to this. So I would say that yes, we still are somewhat risk adverse. But I would say that there's a much greater appetite for the business to try to take big risks because of the fact that we feel like we're very well educated and informed when we're actually taking that risk. So the chances of failure are much less. Also the fact that if we do take a big bet, we're going to bet on something, we're going to bet big, but we're going to fail fast and then improve and immediately bounce back and do it even better than we did the first time. So I would actually hope that we're failing at something every day, because if we're not failing at something every day, we're not actually challenging ourselves enough. Yeah. And I think being a smaller company going into new markets, we only have 200 stores globally. Our sales are much smaller than the two people I'm sitting beside. But I would say that we probably have the same amount of appetite and aspiration to be the same size. And so the ability to actually grow the company past the walls of where we're at today, we need to take big risks.
Is there a Roots Day?
There is not a Roots Day. Actually, if we did have a Roots Day, it would have been yesterday, because it was our 45th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. But we do have probably the closest thing to that is we're known globally for our sweats. And so we typically kick off the back to school season with an effort to support Canadian up and coming music, as well as our sweats. And so that's actually next Thursday.
Okay.
Can I say something really quickly, maybe?
Please, yeah.
So at New Balance, our brand position that we launched last year is fearlessly independent. And we're literally an independent company, an independent family-owned company since our founding, more than 100 years ago. So for us, risk is so important. There's micro risks. There's little tests we're running, on the website and our marketing materials, but we're moving more into risk around messaging and ideas and like what are we bringing out to the consumer that they may love or they may say, this is crazy. And actually over holiday, holiday is big for us. Holiday has always been a place where we're planned to the minute. And this holiday, we were having an editorial meeting with my team yesterday, and we're actually going to do some surprising, fearlessly independent, unexpected things over the holiday season. Obviously, we're looking at that in terms of how do we mitigate commercial risk elsewhere? But it's not like we're calling off the sale, but we're doing a couple of things that'll be really unexpected and different from what we typically do in that time period, which you guys know and many of you know as retailers is a big risk and a bold move, and so that's where we're really getting behind our brand position there.